Hey y'all, I'm Elisa and I am the Scrappy Wife behind scrappywife.com, and today I have a traveler's notebook process video for you. I'm going to be setting up my traveler's notebook for January, and one of my goals for memory keeping this year is to keep my layouts more simple. So I do like a lot of color, I like a lot of pieces, but I don't want to spend tons of time. I want to be able to put the pictures in, record the memories, and then go out and have fun making more memories. So I'm gonna set up January. I have some pictures from New Year's Eve and then New Year's Day that I would like to get down in my notebook. I'll be using some pieces from the Jill collection from Felicity Jane as I anxiously await my newest collection to come in the mail. So I'll put you on fast forward. Let's go. I am going to keep it simple on the cover of this traveler's notebook and just use a few label stickers. And I've really been loving the labels that come with the Felicity Jane sets. They often come as part of the paper pieces, and sometimes they have different label packs. So I like using them to add stamping and journaling on. I have a few puffy alpha stickers right here. I probably should go back and add some extra adhesive. These aren't the newest alpha stickers, and so I'm a little bit nervous that the stickers will fall off. So if they do, I will just go back and add a little bit of liquid adhesive just to make sure that they are nice and secure, especially because I moved them around. But just sticking with Jan right there, and then I will add a heart right here. This is an old sticker heart. I actually got this at the 2018 Felicity Jane black and white sale, which is quite a long time ago. And I will use this label at the bottom to add the year 2019. These are some kind of typewriter key looking stickers. I'm sorry, I'll add 2020. Man, if I added 2019, that would be a shame. So 2020 right here, and then my cover will be complete. Nice and simple and to the point, which is exactly what I'm going for this year. So as I start working on the inside, I'm in a little bit of a dilemma. Before, when I would order Felicity Jane papers in 12 by 12, I would immediately cut them up into traveler's notebook size, which would be 4 1/4 by 8 1/4. However, I haven't been doing that as much recently because sometimes I'm using them for other projects. And I don't really have a good system for storing 12 by 12 papers. So I'm not really sure what to do with all of these 12 by 12 papers that I'm loving. I used to cut them up into traveler's notebook size and they stored really easily that way, but now I have these larger pieces and I'm not totally sure what to do with them. So if you have any suggestions on how you like to store your 12 by 12 paper, let me know because I would love to hear them. You can see I'm going to create a grouping of paper pieces. These are all from the Jill paper pack and I got them as part of the black and white sale. Dare is my word of the year for 2020, and each month I'm kind of adding a little bit of extra to it. So my challenge for the month of January is dare to be positive, keeping a positive mental mindset, and I just like having the word on there, and clustering these pieces together makes it nice and simple. Adding this gorgeous flower. I'm in love with this mustard color. It is so cute. And then I'll use this little gray label and then one more mustard label that says "You got this," and I think that is the perfect way to start out a new year. After all of my pieces are adhered onto that striped paper, then I put that into my traveler's notebook. The one I'm using is just a random blank traveler's notebook that I had already in my stash, and I was kind of regretting not purchasing a Felicity Jane one because I'm not sure about the paper that's in this particular one. It's not a crisp white, and so it doesn't really go necessarily with some of the papers. But that's okay, I will work with what I have, and then next month I may consider going to an A5 size for my memory documenting, just to change it up, to keep it fresh, just something I'm considering, but then it won't really match in with the rest of my traveler's notebooks, so I'm not sure what I'm gonna do as far as that, but I'm looking to possibly change it up just a little bit. You can see I added some light pink washi there on the edge just to make sure that was adhered down, and I will flip it over and start working with these pictures from New Year's Eve. I think, like many parents this day and age, we are so thankful that Netflix has come up with their very own countdown, because we were able to do a countdown with our little ones and they did not even have to stay up past 8 o'clock, which is awesome. We did a ginger ale toast in the fancy champagne glasses, which my kiddos loved doing. It was a lot of fun, and we pretended to be fancy, but truthfully, my husband had the flu and he was still recovering from the flu. It had been kind of a rough few days with him being sick and me being in charge of all three home from school. So it was a relatively low-key New Year's. I'm a big person that's all about cleaning things out and getting things organized before New Year's. And so I was kind of working like a mad woman to get everything organized when he was on the couch, and we were all just tired. But this was a fun little low-key celebration for us. So I have the picture of us all clinking our glasses and the picture of my husband and I looking just a little bit tired. And then, of course, each kid with their glasses. And I like using these frames. These are from the Harper collection, and they're so fun and whimsical. And I liked using it to kind of frame out a couple of the important photos that I have here. You can see me placing the frame down, and then I'll just end up trimming around the edge, trimming off all the excess, so our toast picture is right there in the frame. And I'm kind of playing with how I want those pictures arranged, and end up deciding to just keep it simple, and I'll line them all up on the left hand side and put the frame picture just inside to the right. I am a huge fan of matting pictures, and I have been trying to be super precious with my Felicity Jane papers because I'm loving having them, and I don't like to use them when you can't see the pattern. But in an effort to make sure I'm using my supplies, I will use the back of this paper to add just a little bit of a matting all around my photos to pop them out from that cool kind of Southwest feel paper that's going on in the background, and it brings them together. I didn't have enough frames to frame each of those, plus the pictures are pretty small. I printed them in a 2x2 size, so I like just that tiny little bit of framing that goes on with the matting right there. I'll adhere all of this down. I'm still using my Tombow permanent adhesive tape runner. I do love it, but it's getting expensive using that brand of adhesive. So I'm in the market for an ATG adhesive gun. I've heard that those are awesome, and I've had a little trouble in the past using it, but I'd like to pick one up and use it to see if I can save a little bit of money on adhesive now that I'm doing all of these memory keeping projects. You can see that I used that scrap piece of paper of that kind of Southwest look, and I ended up cutting it into a triangle. I'm going to use that to bring the pattern over to the right half of the page, and then add the picture of my husband and I. And here I'm using some Distress Oxide ink. This is in fossilized amber, and it coordinates so well with this paper. Adding in the words Happy New Year. I'm using, this is the Elemental 2 alpha set, so this is a block alpha from By the Will for God, and then they also have a coordinating outline alpha that's called Elemental Alpha, and I'm using the Weathered Wood, which is a gray, to kind of add some outlines. I was really pleased with how this came out. I did get a little bit too quick with what I was doing and end up smearing that W just a little bit, but that's okay. Handmade, it's part of the process. There's gonna be mistakes on your page, and you have to kind of embrace that for sure. I'm really glad I did not adhere that triangle down before I started stamping, because I ended up having to move it down the page to make room for the entire phrase Happy New Year. And then I will add in the picture of my husband and I kind of nestled on that triangle to give it a place to kind of rest. As I'm doing that, one of my other crafting goals is to use my stamps more. I have so many gorgeous stamp sets, and I use them all the time in Bible journaling, but I tend to not use them in memory keeping or my planning. I do keep a planner, and I would really like to use them more. So I have my stamp sets pulled out. I think that's one of the main goals, is to keep them out so I can see them on my desk when I'm working on a project. So I pulled out the Felicity Jane ones I had on hand, and I'm going to use them to add some interest to this. So I will add here the story behind the photo, and then there was a cool kind of arrow picture. But the frustrating part is I'm getting better at stamping. You can see that little black mark that was on the edge of my acrylic block got over there right to the edge of that picture, and I was super frustrated that that happened because these are wonderful stamps. Felicity Jane has really good quality stamps, and so they don't often smear, and I just was messy, and that happens with me a lot. So another goal, so I think to get better, I need to just spend some time cleaning my blocks. I think that would probably help. Anyway, back to what I was doing, adding some more stamping using the phrase "this is best" and taking one day at a time, which was really appropriate for these pictures since we were a household with the flu and recovering. I do my best to kind of cover up that little black mark, but I use a vellum sticker, so it doesn't cover it up completely, but kind of gives just something else for your eye to look at. And because I used it there, I'm going to add a couple other vellum stickers. These are all Felicity Jane stickers that, again, are from a sale of theirs. These are still from the 2018 sale, so still using up all those pieces. I choose another paper piece from the Jill die cut set, and I will add it right there, those cute little scallops, just to fill in some of that white space. And the white space ends up being something that challenged me on the right side of this spread. So I wasn't intending to fill it all up. I thought, oh, I'll just leave some of the white space. But like I said before, I'm using a different traveler's notebook, just an old one in my stash, and it's not a crisp white paper, and so the cream was kind of throwing me off. So you can see I play around. I'm adding, it got off camera, but I'm adding the year 2020 there on the bottom of the picture of my husband and I trimming off this paper piece. And then I will add a little bit of journaling about how he had the flu, and we really did have to keep things low key as he recovered. The one cool thing about these vellum stickers, or these particular washi kind of stickers, is that you can write directly over them, which was pretty cool. But you can see I filled that up with journaling, and then I had this trapped white space up top and wasn't quite sure what I wanted to put there, whether I was going to do a stamp or what. I ended up deciding to go with these heart stickers. They are epoxy, is that the right word? Stickers. They have kind of a 3D feel to them, and that fills up that space nicely. The last entry I have for today is a picture of my daughter and I. This is actually from January the 2nd, and she and I went to run errands together. And I don't know what it is about the new year, but it makes me just want to freshen things up in my house, and I tend to want to buy things. And actually, she was a great shopping partner because she was great at looking for things, but also keeping me accountable to, hey, mommy, you weren't gonna buy that, or you said you weren't looking for that. So that was fabulous. I'm gonna layer a few of these softer pink pieces, which goes great for pictures of me and my daughter. I love just the feminine feel of Felicity Jane. I like how their collections really go together. You can mix and match pieces from different collections. It makes it easy to create a cohesive traveler's notebook, even though you're using things from different months. So just a thought. I mounted our picture on a gray floral piece, and I'm using this soft pink piece as kind of a landing strip. I had some bleed through from the Happy New Year, the Distress Oxide ink on the other page, and so I needed to cover that up and make sure it would be nice and secure. In order to add a little bit more texture, I am mounting my picture again on some tissue paper this time. I'm using these raggedy scissors. I will have to look to see if I can find some available. These are like old school from Michael's way back in the day, and I'm sure they still make them. I know there used to be a trend where scrapbookers had all of these different kinds of scissors, like the scalloped and the torn edge. So these are kind of the torn edge scissors, and I'm adding just a little bit of texture with that tissue paper right there, and I'm kind of playing with layering up, and I end up deciding, you know what, I'm just going to cover this whole page with a solid gray, because then it kind of makes the gray that's matting the photo pop out a little bit. And I keep wanting to use that wreath of flowers, and I just cannot find a good place for it in the end. I'll put these on. Again, I like having the pieces outside of my traveler's notebook and then being able to customize the page. So I'll very carefully place that on, and then layer the pink floral paper on top, and then start to work on how I want to layer my photo and other elements. So I end up deciding that what my photo is missing is just more layering pieces. So I take the B side of that pink floral paper, which are these sweet black and white hearts, and I will use it to start to layer my photo. I end up deciding I want it at the bottom of the page. I love the phrase "you are beautiful" with the two of us. This is when we stopped to pick up a pretzel, because how do you possibly go to the mall without stopping for a delicious large pretzel? It's one of our favorite treats for ourselves. So we thought, hey, we're shopping, we're having a great time, let's do a pretzel. It's so much fun to play with the layering of pieces, and I think it kind of takes trial and error. There's lots of different ways to do it, but I would just recommend having a bunch of pieces out on your desk and just playing around. You can see I end up grabbing another label there. It won't actually have anything on it, but it just kind of creates some balance with the label "You are beautiful" that I'm going to add to the top. And I have my pink flower right there, and that page is done. Now I'm going to have some spots for journaling over here on the right side, and I will again primarily use labels. And this is where I remember, I want to use stamps. I want to use as many stamps as I can. So I'm looking through all of my Felicity Jane stamps and grabbing some that are kind of appropriate for what is happening in the pictures. So over here I have "work and play equals balance," because I was trying to balance the work of getting our house organized and freshened up with the play of hanging out with my daughter and having a good time. Then I have the word "grateful" from, I believe that's probably from Harper, not totally sure. And I also have these gorgeous floral stamps that came in one of the Felicity Jane kits. I'll leave it below if I can find the names of all of these stamp sets. And I'm using these black and white floral stamps to create a place for my tags to kind of nestle. Instead of them just going straight on the page or using actual paper to create something for them, I think the stamps are a fun way to just create kind of a nesting place for your pieces to live. And that's kind of what I'm doing right here. I'll add one more label. I'm going to stamp on the label. This one says "this and that." Is that the one that I chose? Yeah, "this and that," meaning that's what we're shopping for. This and that, all the things you think you need and you actually don't really need. I will pull out my labels and start putting them on the page. So this one I ended up deciding to kind of hang off of the page, which I really like, and that's a technique I'll definitely be doing. Again, I'm moving them around. There's a sticker for "grateful," "this and that," "grateful," and then "work, play, balance" at the bottom, using that same tape runner. And then I will just trim off the "this and that." And now I've created a nice big space to where I can add some journaling to this page. I do find another great stamp that I want to use on the page, and it says "taking more time for," and it has the colon there, and I'm going to grab some puffy alphas and spell out "my girl." The problem is that I don't actually have a Y alpha left, so I will do a little bit of sticker surgery on an X, trimming off one of the legs of the X to make a Y that I can use to spell out "my girl." And then I will have a nice big spot still left. So I have a great title, a lot of labels, a lot of stamping done, and then still a nice big spot left for journaling and telling the story of the day. I do really like how the metallic gold kind of plays off of the soft blush pink. And so I grab a few of the hearts that are on this alpha set, and I'm going to use them at different places across my layout. Over by the word "girl," I put one by "you are beautiful," and then I believe I have one, it's off screen right now, but at the bottom on the "work and play equals balance." I'm trying to decide here what I'm going to do for my journaling, and I end up going with this paper. I'm going to type directly on the paper. You'll see it when I flip over. I just got a typewriter for Christmas and I'm loving it, but it's also a little bit frustrating as I learn that typewriters are a little bit finicky. I'm still learning how to do it. I add kind of a faux label right there just to fill in some white space, and that gives me yet another place to add a stamp. So see how well I'm doing on my goal of stamping, adding in the stamp details of the day. Last but not least, I'll add the date stamp, and this layout will be done. So in about an hour, it took me about an hour to do these 3 layouts. They're relatively simple, and I'm definitely meeting some of my crafty goals. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and consider hitting that subscribe button as well as that bell notification button. I hope you have a fantastic day, and as always, keep it creative.